Hey, what's up guys, Marc Brunet here, and today I'm back as promised with another feedback session from our our members over at cubrush.com. So this is going to be the winner of the Silver League for our first ever monthly competition for the month of August. So what I'll be doing in here, just like I did for the Bronze League winner, I'll do a like a feedback session. So I'll start with all the good about this painting because obviously there's a lot of good stuff in here, and then try to pick on a couple of things that I think could be improved, and then do a paint over trying to fix those things or improve those things if possible. So let's jump right into it. So right off the bat, as you can see, this picture is very, very good. So a lot of the things I'm going to say, well, some of the things I'm going to say might be a little bit subjective, but I'm going to try to keep it as objective as possible, just going by the fundamentals and the things that normally you don't do versus the things that are okay. But take into consideration that it's my taste, in the end. So keep that in mind. But so like I was saying, very, very good painting. There's so many good things about this. The anatomy is very, very good, so I'm not going to be commenting on that at all. The design is super interesting. It's just this cool character. And cool pose, cool background. Like the background, it wasn't needed, right? But it just adds a lot to this sort of this weird, this weird scene and these weird fighters in it. And yeah, so design and anatomy are very good. The colors also very interesting. The values are solid. There's it seems like there's I'm guessing it's a style choice. Just the way the details are painted, very not lit. So there's it's not a clear light source, but it's interesting. It's a cool look in itself. But yeah, so now a couple things that could be improved, obviously. The first thing that comes to mind is even though the colors are good, there's one color in particular that just it attracts too much attention for me, and it's this purple here, and those two purple clouds. But to fix that is very easy. It's just that right now it just attracts too much attention because that's the only thing in this whole scene that's kind of this color. It's purple, and you look at it and you're like, is there something hidden in those clouds? Is it part of the magic, or what's going on? It brings questions that shouldn't exist because it detracts from the main character, which is the whole focal point of the scene. So colors a little bit. So we're gonna play with colors slightly. The values overall, from in the point of view of splitting the character from the background, very, very successful. As you can see, if we adjust, if we add an adjustments layer here, saturation, drop down to 0. So as you can see, the character just really, really pops from the background. So no problem here. The only problem is within the silhouette of the character itself. You kind of lose the legs a little bit, so it's hard to understand how the volume sort of interacts. But so yeah, we're gonna try to improve that a little bit. But from the perspective of the character itself, from the background, very, very good, very good split here. The only thing in that regard that I would maybe improve, and that I will actually try to improve, is this cloud here, how bright it is. Seeing as it is the same sort of value as the fur coat or the fur cloak. So we're gonna try to push this back a little bit more. Yeah, and the other thing, I guess the last thing, is the composition. It's good overall, but there's one big line in this scene that is very, very strong, and we might want to tone it down or sort of counter it. So you have this line here that's emphasized by a lot of things. So obviously you have this pier that's pointing in this direction, and you have sort of the cloak that kind of follows the flow of this thing. Like this. So there's a lot of stuff going in that direction. Same with the legs, everything seems to kind of go like this. And what happens is that your eye goes into this direction, and then here, and then there's nothing here. So there's nothing to kind of bring back the eye into the scene and back onto the character. So it's just a slight off balance. So you probably need something in here to attract it back, to pull back the attention, and then bring it back into the scene and sort of complete this loop here. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm gonna try to fix. I don't know what I'm gonna add yet, but adding like maybe just clouds that are a little bit more, a little bit darker or something, like another plane, having this plane maybe different direction or whatever. So I'll see if I get to that or not. But yeah, just to keep in mind that there's a slight off balance in here. So, but yeah, the first thing I'm going to try to fix are the values. So let's go back to this, and we're going to pick a brush set to darken mode, and we can hide the saturation layer. And we're just going to grab like a color that is similar in this area, because we're going to be darkening the cloud in the back, so that the value is a little bit less than the cloak. So we just go over in darken mode and paint this up a little bit more. So very, very subtle. Doesn't need to be that intense. It's just so that the cloak is the brightest thing in the scene, and the brightest thing also happens to be onto that the character. So we can see already now, like this, the cloak is the brightest. Feels a little bit better. So it's super subtle, but I think it's important. And the second thing we're going to try to do is to do a pass on, well, actually set up, create a light setup that is a little bit more obvious, so that it can help us sort of understand the shapes in here, and maybe help pop those volumes out a little bit more. So we're gonna go with a that's completely arbitrary, so it could be anything else. I mean, right now I'm looking at this, and there's no cast shadows anywhere. So to me, it means that there's very little directional light happening in the scene. So I can, I guess, pretty much pick whatever I want. It can come from any direction. I mean, it can come from the back, it can come from the front. If you look at the face, there's no clear highlight on one side or the other. So yeah, I'm just gonna pick whatever. Let's do let's see. The light's gonna come from this direction. Okay, so you can see in sort of like 3D. And I should probably put this on a separate layer, not the main layer. Alright, so main light source is going to be like this, and we're gonna have 3 light sources. So the main one, and so we're gonna have also like a backlight, which is pretty much the reflection of this main light source hitting the ground and then hitting back up. So like doot, 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 and then it hits back up, and then hit the back of the legs. All this area is gonna get hit. So we have we're gonna get a different color, obviously, because it's gonna be mostly the color of the ground. So this kind of blue is probably good enough. Maybe a little bit brighter, so that's easier to see. So we're gonna have, like I say, bounce light coming from this direction, and then skylight coming from the top, the very, very top. So straight down. I'm going to change the color and make it lighter so that we can see it. So this is going to be my light setup for this scene. So yeah, let's go in and try to use those lights as guide, and then improve the values just slightly. So you can see here, it's that you have this very, very black silhouette. So the first thing I'm going to try to do is to split the legs from the back, from the second pair of legs, the mechanical legs, so that we can see the human legs a little bit more. And to do that, I'm just going to start shading. So I know my main light source is going to come from here. It's a slight yellow. So I'm not going to use anything fancy, just soft brush with whatever the color I'm using, painting directly on it, and yeah, here we go. So the way I'm doing actually, I'm just gonna color pick the colors that are there and just bring the slider up a little bit in the color picker. So that's gonna be sort of the brighter color. Not the perfect way to do it, but it should do a pretty good job. So I'm gonna do the leg in real time, and then I'm gonna speed it up for the rest because it's nothing that that complicated here. The shape itself is very solid already. It's a very good drawing to work, a good painting to work off of, because it makes it easy to improve it because it's almost there. So it just needs like this final pass of detail, just bring in, add the final polish that it deserves. So as you can see, I don't want to go too crazy because it is supposed to be sort of this cloudy environment. So I'm just going to add enough light so that you kind of understand the volumes. And keep in mind the light sources I'm talking about. So the blue comes from the top and then the yellow. So it's very subtle here, but you can see this is a little bit bluer than this area. See, everything that's in the shadows more is gonna get hit by the blue of the sky a little bit more. All right, I'm gonna speed this up so you can see the whole thing finished. Alright, that's good enough. So as you can see, I didn't add too much, but just a little bit. So you have the old one here, and the new one. So it's still very subtle, but it's just so that we know where the light is coming from, and it helps separate, the legs, the actual human legs, from the legs in the back, as you can see. Subtle, but it does the trick. Alright. So a couple last thing I could probably add on here is a little bit of maybe shadow at the bottom here of the legs. Something very subtle, just to ground it a little bit more. Alright, that's good enough. Right, so the next thing I'm going to be working on is getting the colors to fit a little bit more within the scene. So as I was saying at the beginning, you have those two clouds here that are kind of not quite working. So the easiest way to fix this is to bring all the scene closer to those clouds as opposed to just fixing them. And so what we're going to do is just Control B and just drag this here to see what we can get. As you can see, the entire scene is getting this, this sort of magenta tint, and those clouds suddenly just they feel like they belong a lot more. And so I'm not disliking the look of this. Maybe play with this to bring it back a little bit closer to what it was. Alright, I'm gonna go with that. So as you can see, it's very, very, very subtle still. Just the scene, the color changed just a little bit, but now those clouds feel like they belong a little bit more because there's more of those purple tints everywhere else in the scene, so they don't feel like the one-offs that are just, you know, by themselves. And now the scene is starting to feel a lot better. I'm going to do a last quick fix on the shadows, so adding a little bit of cast shadows here and there, because right now there's a main light source, but you know, there's no shadows anywhere, and this should be, because that's what light does. So I'm gonna add one for the stick. So the stick should be casting some sort of shadow on her, because she's holding it in front of her. So I'm gonna have, you know, very rough. It doesn't, I mean, I'm not gonna spend too long on this. Just give an idea that there's something there. It doesn't have to be super dark either. Alright, something like that. So, like I said, very subtle. And then I'm going to try to add a little bit of sort of ambient occlusion on that cloak in the background, because it's the same sort of value, you know, throughout the entire surface of it, which normally wouldn't happen, especially since it's deforming like this, and so it's just missing a little bit of shadow to make it really sort of fit in this scene. So very, very rough around the edges. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's gonna be good enough. This. All right, and well, I'm gonna stay on multiply and grab. So as you can see, I don't go in here too often. I don't like to go to the color picker too often, especially not at this stage in the painting where it's basically done, right? So I'm gonna just use the colors that's already there, and so for here, you know, I'm just gonna grab this. So it's on multiply, tinting the whole thing purple, perfect, because that's, you know, that's the new sort of vibe we're going for this. So just, you know, closer to her body in the back where the lights normally wouldn't reach as easily as you know, the side here that's probably getting lit by the bottom light down here. So yeah, I'm just gonna add a little bit. Like that, and now I can get rid of this, maybe add a little bit more around here, something like that. Alright, that's a little bit more like it. So this is a little bit more up to interpretation, but, you know, is this flap coming, you know, is it going over her, or is it still in the far back? I'm not sure. I mean, there could be some shadow on here, but who knows, you know, it's a call that does it look cool or not? Let's just go with that. Is it cool or not? Nah. I don't know. Maybe. Nah, leave it like that, I guess. So now by doing this, you can, maybe you'll see that, you know, I'm starting to lose the arm in the background here, mixing with the cloak. You know, the values are very, very, very similar. And so that's not good, and that's, you know, something that you have to deal with. You know, whenever you do something to fix, to sort of improve one area, something happens, and you have to fix the sort of the resulting problem. That's all good. So whatever you want to do, what you want to do in this case, very simple. Whenever you have something that is the same value, all you have to do is pick one and choose the one that's going to be the lighter and the one that's going to be darker. So in this case I was darkening the cloak, so I'm going to leave it like that, right? I'm not going to make it brighter, so sort of revert back to what I just did. So all I have to do now is to make sure the distinction between the glove and the back here is very bright, so that we know mix them up together. And so I can see here there's a little bit of, you know, like of this blue light hitting the character. In this scene, like, it doesn't read as though it's that bright, just because of the color of it, and so I don't think it would cast any sort of light, at least not that much light compared to the actual environment. You know, if you wanted this to cast some sort of light, it would probably need to be like blown up way more. But first, let me just fix what I was talking about. So we're just gonna do an outline, you know, something super simple. As the light's coming from the other side, which it could be, you know, whatever. You can cheat sometimes a little bit. So there you go. I'm gonna split that one up in here also because it's trying kind of losing it. Alright, now everything seems split up pretty good. I'll leave it at that. So yeah, back to what I was saying, you know, for that particular light here, if we wanted this to become a light source that affects the character a little bit more, it would probably need to be like, you know, like this bright. You know, otherwise the environment itself is pretty bright already, and it would win. It would sort of overpower the little bit of light that we would get from this this thing here. All right. So yeah, values pretty good to go now, I would say. So the last thing I was talking about, you know, at the very beginning was the composition issues, and to fix that, we could add more clouds. So you know, we have these white clouds here and there that we've been having here in the background. So we could go and add something up here to sort of, you know, close the loop, or sort of add some sort of interest in this area. So that would be like the easy way to do it. But easy is not always the best. So what do you say? I think I'm gonna keep it with clouds, just so that I don't add anything else in the scene that might not be, you know, desired. So I'm gonna leave it as close to the original as I can, but just adding a little bit of stuff here to sort of wrap the composition around. So that's no longer, you know, it's no longer going all in this direction. You kind of have this this thing here that creates this nice circle. So it just wraps the character a little bit better. So yeah, guys, I mean, the final pass that I always do in paintings, and it's not really needed here. I mean, I think it reads already pretty good, but I always do a final overlay pass just in case, you know, some things could use a little bit of highlights of colors. And generally the color I pick is in this area, so it's sort of like a orange, light orange. So yeah, I'm just gonna go over this and do a couple hits of light, just brighten it up. And towards the end also, like, using this, you know, you can sort of help focus the character, help the values a little bit more, you know, final touches, just so that, you know, around the face it's a little bit brighter. That's overkill clearly, but you know, you get the idea. And that is going to be pretty much it, guys. I think it's a good improvement. It looks a little bit more finished. The composition works a little bit better. The shapes read a little bit better. As I said, you know, it was already a very good painting. So this was actually, you know, pretty interesting to paint over, because you know, you get very quick results. You know, it's just a couple things that can make it really shine. But like I said, you know, some of the values here, or how the light reacts, might have been a style choice. I don't know, but to me, is, even if it was a style choice, it's something that you try to avoid. You know, if you want to have a character overlapping something else, you want to make damn sure that it overlaps and that it reads clearly that it's overlapping. So that's why, you know, I added a little bit of light on the legs so that they feel clearly in front of the legs and the back. And yeah, fix the composition, fix the values a little bit here and there, tweak the color slightly, and there you go. So again, I hope this was helpful to some of you guys. I hope the you know, the original the artist for this painting enjoyed the process. I hope this was helpful to see, and I'll be back soon with the our gold winner in the next, you know, feedback session. So as usual, you know, don't forget to check out cubrush.com. We have the September competition that is ongoing at the time of this, I don't know, at the time as I'm posting this video. So check it out, and you could be the next one to have your art reviewed, like you know, in this format. So yeah, guys, that's it for me. So take it easy. Bye bye.